Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Share the Health podcast with your co-hosts, Amy, Caitlin, and Mariah.
This podcast is for women who feel frustrated by the failures of the traditional healthcare system and are looking for solutions.
We'll be diving into all things women's health, being a female business owner, and life as a woman. Now let's get into today's episode. Hey, Samantha, welcome to the Share the Health podcast. We're so happy to have you on today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Hello, it's good to be on here. Thank you for having me. I am a wellness-based chiropractor in Wilmington. Been in practice for about 10 years. I came here right out of chiropractic school and opened up shop and hit the ground running. So it's been great.
That's awesome. So do you have any sort of specialty, or just tell us a little bit more about your practice and how it works?
So I've kind of honed in on doing perinatal and pediatric care for most of the practice. I do family wellness, so I will see people that are single that don't have children. I'll see men, husbands of patients, or the dads of some of my patients. But I do tend to focus mostly on that family demographic, so middle-aged to premenopausal women in particular. And then once they get into the older years, I'll usually refer them to someone that sees Medicare patients. So I see from 0 days old up to about 65 and everything in between, focusing on pregnant women, preconception, postpartum, and babies.
Yeah, very interesting. With babies and kids, why are, some of these people coming to see you? Like, what sort of things are you treating?
So, it varies. Some people just bring their kids in to get checked just to make sure that everything is lined up. I do a lot of primitive reflex testing and checking in on milestones and, looking for things before they become a problem and being kind of a, preventative practice. Obviously, people will come in with babies that have torticollis, or if they're having latch issues, or if they're constipated, or something like that. When they're really small, chiropractic can help some of those babies and kids. Older kids, if they have, if they're pigeon-toed, or if they're having issues with posture in school and they're getting, stiff and sore necks like we all do. Um, Things like that for some of the older kids, athletes, the kids that are playing sports and they're hot and heavy into, those impact sports, they could definitely use adjustment. So it's really a variety of things, and sometimes it's just wellness.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting. I think people are a little bit more familiar with why you would go to a chiropractor as an adult, but
Right.
maybe not as familiar on the baby and kind of pediatric side of things.
Yes. And,
Mm.
it seems like we're all used to getting adjusted as adults and it looking and feeling a certain way. And so a lot of parents are hesitant, and even their healthcare providers of the children are hesitant to refer to chiropractors, but the adjustments are very different for babies, very different for toddlers, and even the school age kids. You don't start getting adjusted really the same way until you're, fully developed and those joints look and feel a little bit different. So
Yeah, and it's the same thing like during pregnancy, the adjustments are different and a lot
yeah.
more gentle.
Definitely. And I have, because that's primarily my focus area is pregnancy or postpartum and babies, I am a pretty conservative adjuster on all of my patients. It's just kind of how I have developed my technique. So, if somebody's looking for a heavy-handed or a vigorous adjuster, I'm a terrible fit. But, I adjust everybody pretty gently. There's a lot of techniques out there, and there's a lot of chiropractors out there, so there's something for everybody.
Mhm. What made you want to start your own business?
Well, starting my own business, you know, coming out of school, it seems like kind of a big task to open up your own. But I knew that I didn't want to take insurance. I wanted it to be affordable and accessible to everybody with or without insurance.
Mhm.
Um, and not that I don't work well with others, I just don't particularly love working for others. When I have a vision and I'm under the thumb of some corporate practice or somebody else's vision, it just doesn't make a good fit for me. So I figured I'd start my own and see how things went, and it's been going good.
Yeah. What is this, like, did you have a specific vision in mind that you were, that you were wanting out of this?
Going into it, I would say I knew I wanted family practice. I knew I wanted to see kids and make it really, wellness focused, preventative care. Um, I didn't really know that I wanted to do peds and perinatal care as much of a focus as I have it now, until I got into practice. It was probably a year or two, and it really stuck with me. I got into it while I was in school. We have outpatient clinic. It's kind of our clinical rounds that we do. And I had asked to be in the peds unit. And so it was really eye opening. My husband and I had all three of our boys while I was in chiropractic school. So what started off as a neurologically based practice that I had in my vision ended up pediatric and perinatal. So that's
Yeah.
where we're at
So,
now.
yeah. So there's a lot from like your own personal experiences that really, drove your focus and kind of
Right.
expertise you have now.
Yeah. Plus, it's great working with kids. They keep
Mhm.
everything interesting and fun, and it's it's good.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
keep
it does make it, yeah, like forces you to be a little, lighthearted, and kids just make things fun.
They do. Yes, they do.
And Amy, I'm sure you see this as well a lot, because I know that at least when I've gone to pelvic PT, I brought my kids. So even if you're not treating kids, you're
Mhm.
seeing them a lot, which is fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like we don't treat children, we don't do pediatric public health, but we have kids in here every single day. And we have a nursery and toys, and it's always an adventure. We have like those little kid-proof things on all the outlets.
Oh
Just a
yeah.
struggle, huge struggle to undo and put it like plug in the vacuum. Yeah.
So not only child-proof, but adult-proof too.
Yeah. I was my admin, Stephanie, she has kids, and so she was like, "Oh, I can bring these in. I have extras. We can cover them all up." And then I couldn't access any of our plugs anymore. So, but Samantha, I actually had a question for you, just because I know that you also, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of are also in the functional, like functional kind of route of things too, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So I've been for the entire time I've been in practice. So I guess a lot of people. I'll go back a step. In chiropractic school, the scope of the things that we learn and our responsibilities goes well beyond just adjusting people. We have to learn how to diagnose. We have to learn how to read imaging, so the x-rays, MRIs, CT scans. We have to be able to interpret labs. And some chiropractors leave school and they like to focus on adjusting and the physiotherapy part of it. And I really love, I get super nerdy on labs, and I love reading imaging. And so I've done a little bit more of that every single year I've been in practice. So during COVID, when things were kind of up in the air about what everything was going to look like for in-person care, I decided to do a functional medicine certification. So I finished that last year, and what I learned in that was I was already doing all of it anyway. It was just kind of how I was practicing. So it was good to, do the formal training and have some protocols. But functional medicine is a huge part of the wellness part of my practice. It's not just the adjusting, it's the lifestyle. It's making changes that are meaningful and positive and proactive.
Mhm.
Yeah, so what sort of things do you feel like you do differently or in addition to in your practice that maybe a chiropractor who's just doing the adjusting would do?
Well, it depends on what the patient wants, like, goals, what their goals are. Some patients, they're just there because they have headaches, and I won't bug them about getting labs done. I won't bug unless I feel like it's super important to rule something out. But I have some patients that have been frustrated. They've hit dead ends in, traditional medicine, or they've gotten, scared away from going back to their primary doctor for whatever reason. I think, a lot of people just have anxiety over medicine. So it feels different in a chiropractic office. So usually I'll start off with standard labs, having people do food diaries and habit diaries and talk about hydration. And, you know, people that are seeking health are looking for everything that they can get their hands on to make them feel better. And so I want to know what supplements people are taking. Sometimes they've got a list of 20 to 30 things that they're popping in their mouth every day, and they don't need most of them, if any of them. A lot of it's, TikTok famous things and stuff they've pulled off of Facebook forums. And um, a lot of what I like to do too is checking genomes. If you look into people's genetics, it really gives you kind of the blueprint for how their body works. And that's a good place to start, because if you know that somebody's predisposed to a certain, metabolic issue or a certain methylation issue or something, it can really hone in on what they need.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you feel like is your vision for the future of your practice?
That's a good question. I don't know yet. It feels like every time I feel like I'm finally settling into something, something else opens up in my, interest. My brain starts to unlock these drawers I didn't know I had, and I want to learn more about something else. My latest thing is really getting in depth on hypermobility, um, Ehlers-Danlos, and other hypermobility disorders, and trying to be a place where people can go to get formal diagnosis or rule it out, get referrals to specialists. That wasn't anything that I was even on my radar when I started practicing. So I have no idea what things will look like 10 years from now. I know I'm never going to stop seeing babies and moms, because that just makes me happy, but I have no idea where this is all going to go.
And I think that's totally okay. It's kind of nice to be in a spot where you're like, okay, I'm really happy with where my practice is at now, but I know that I'm gonna continue to grow somehow. I just don't know which path I'm gonna take yet.
Right.
Yeah. Well, why do you think that, like, why should someone come and see you? Because there are a lot of chiropractors in town. So why should they come see you?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think the biggest compliment that I get from people that like coming to my office is that I take time to listen. The appointments aren't 5 minutes in and out. They get to sit and talk about not just how they're feeling, like how their body is feeling that day, but other things that are going on in their life that might be affecting, their health, and that might be affecting their quality of life. And to sit down and listen means everything. Some people, they don't even care about the adjustment when they come in. They just like that somebody's listened to them and that they care, and that, somebody's there to help give them some strategies and set them on the right path. And so that's something that I like to give all of my patients. Doesn't matter what age they are, because sometimes the kids come in and they've had a rough day and they want to unload a little bit too. And so I would say, if somebody wants something that's a quick in and out, that's not me. I talk a lot, my intakes are long, my exams are long. A few people sometimes feel like I get really nosy, the things that I ask, but I want to see the big picture. I feel like it's all important. And so I like to really dive into people's health and wellness and their goals, and not just give them a few minutes of my time and send them away.
Mhm.
I love that you're truly taking that like holistic approach and looking at more than just their spine.
Yes. Yeah.
Question, how long are your appointments usually then?
So the first visit, depending on how complicated of a health history somebody has, is usually 45 minutes to an hour and 15. A lot of times that's just not enough. So if that's the case, I'll usually schedule another, visit to finish up. For adjustment visits, if we've got a solid plan and they've got a care plan and we know what we're working on, we're there 15 to 20 minutes to do the adjustment, go over how they're doing, and set some goals. If we need to do stretches or adjust supplements, we can usually squeeze it in. But there are people that need longer visits, so it can go up to another 45 minutes if somebody's coming in and they need, cupping or dry needling, or if we need to do some kinesio taping, or if they want to go over some labs or imaging, we can work that in. So an average, we'll call them an easy wellness patient is, 10 to 15 minutes, and it can go up from there.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really great. I think not a lot of chiropractors, at least from, experiences that I've had in the past, you're not going to get that sort of time with somebody.
Well, and that it just the adjustment itself, it really shouldn't take very long, and it doesn't take very long. So if somebody's limited on time and they just want to get in and get out and get that adjustment, that's a great fit for a lot of people. But I just don't. I feel like there's a lot of room for missing things. You
Mhm.
know, missing pieces if you don't ask questions and get some feedback.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like if you're wanting that like quick adjustment and that's all you're looking for, that's where they're not a great fit for you. But if
Right.
you're wanting that big picture, holistic, really looking at all of your health, um, those are the people that should come and see you.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, where can people connect with you? How can they, look more into booking services with you?
So everything for booking is on my website, familytreechiropractic.net. I'm really old school. I have Facebook, and that's about it as far as socials go. Um, I probably should get with the times and have Insta and everything else, but people are always welcome to message me on my Facebook business page too. Um, but probably the easiest way to book would just be to go to the website. There's all of the contact information. I'm always open to chatting on the phone. I actually offer free consultations through telehealth too if people prefer to do the face to face but not come into the office. Those are on the booking page too. So it's probably the easiest way to get in touch.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us and just sharing a little bit more about yourself and your business today.
You bet. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And we always
Thanks.
end with a classic high five.
Oh, I love it.